We have Android phones, we have the Nexus line, and then we have the Nexus 4. Even though the Nexus 4 is part of the Nexus line, it is a whole different animal. The Nexus 4 feels like a different phone. Even coming from the Galaxy Nexus, which also has a pure Android experience, it is night and day. The body of the Nexus 4 is so elegant that you have to see it in person to really appreciate it. The back of the phone has this interesting array of squares that illuminate when the light reflects them. This reminds me a lot of the original live wallpaper that has represented the Nexus line. I'm not sure if that was Google's approach, but it is different and looks fantastic. It almost gives you the impression that the device has a solar panel in the back. I think that would have been a very innovative feature. Take notes, Google. The rear of the phone also houses an 8 megapixel camera. Although it's not the best I have ever seen on a smartphone, it is an improvement from the Galaxy Nexus and gets the job done. 1080p recording also looks good. Moving to the front of the device, we have a 4.7-inch screen size with a true HD IPS Plus display, a resolution of 1280 by 768. That is a pixel density of 320 ppi, and let me tell you, it looks and feels wonderful. The responsiveness is as good, if not better, to my experience with iDevices like the iPhone 5. When you touch it, the feedback is extremely fast and feels super smooth. And although I wasn't too impressed with the default color settings out of the box, luckily Francisco Franco produced an app to calibrate the colors of the Nexus 4, which really makes the IPS display shine. I can honestly say the hardware and the software work so beautiful together, and that's what I mean about being a whole different animal. Android 4.2, though incremental from 4.1, is such a refinement to the Android operating system. It clearly shows you a glimpse of the future and where Google is headed with this amazing OS. The internals of the Nexus 4 are not something to be disappointed, as it houses a powerful Qualcomm Snapdragon quad-core S4 processor running in at 1.5 GHz with 2 gigs of RAM. Needless to say, it's a beast. I will admit I was a bit upset when I found out that the Nexus 4 did not have support for LTE, and was skeptical with what HSPA Plus on T-Mobile had to offer. However, it didn't take much to see that in my coverage area I was averaging about 15 to 20 megabytes down. With that being said, the non-LTE isn't so much of a deal breaker as some people make it seem. Which it turns out there is an LTE chip inside, it's just dormant for the time being. The Nexus 4 comes with a 2100 mAh non-removable battery. With moderate use, you can easily get through the day. I can honestly say I don't miss my removable battery that I had with my Galaxy Nexus. If not having a removable battery means I can have a sexy unibody phone with wireless charging capability, I'll gladly take it. I mean, when was the last time you saw a Ferrari that gave you good gas mileage? It's a compromise you have to be willing to accept when you own a Nexus 4. But a non-removable battery isn't the only compromise. There is no microSD support, lack of LTE, and you only get up to 16 gigabytes of internal storage. And although this probably doesn't make sense and seems though if the Nexus 4 is a step backwards compared to other phones, that's the thing. The Nexus 4 isn't like all the other phones. It is a phone meant for developers and not the average user. Like the Enzo Ferrari that doesn't have a radio inside and lacks creature comfort, the Nexus 4 is no different, as it's a whole different breed of a phone. It's powerful, super fast, beautiful, and unique. Therefore, if you're looking for a phone with an amazing camera, outstanding battery life, micro SD support, removable battery, LTE support, the best screen in the market, the Nexus 4 is not for you. The Nexus 4 doesn't pretend or want to be that phone. It is a well-balanced phone at an amazing price point that is not meant for the average consumer. However, there's no denying that Google has a clear winner here, and once you use a Nexus 4, you won't go back. That is until the next Nexus phone is released.